We find ourselves at the outset of a familiar late cycle scenario, characterized by a significant debt crisis where the gap between supply and demand becomes glaringly apparent. The United States is ensnared in a predicament more precarious than ever before. Americans are awakening to the harsh reality that our economy is floundering and the current leadership is failing to address our mounting losses adequately. However, the situation is far graver than many realize. The impending challenges facing the United States in the coming months are poised to be some of the most formidable yet, and our nation is ill-prepared. As the specter of economic collapse looms large, the need for preparedness has never been more urgent. Stay tuned as we uncover the sobering realities of America's economic decline. Before we go any further, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like below this video. As we delve into why the U.S. market is teetering on the brink of collapse this year and what actions need to be taken. Presently, the United States confronts a crisis of unprecedented proportions under the current administration. While this may not come as a shock, it remains difficult to fathom that we are confronted with an economic downturn even more severe than the Great Depression. Though seemingly incredulous, the evidence is undeniable. During the Great Depression, the average rent accounted for 18.7% of the average monthly salary, and a new house cost 225% of the average yearly salary. These figures, while distressing, pale in comparison to today's economic reality. In 2021, the average rent soared to 26% of the average monthly income, and a new house commanded a staggering 788% of the average yearly income. The comparative statistics underscore the worsening economic conditions exacerbated by the government's economic policies. Moreover, recent years have witnessed skyrocketing housing prices, with the median home price in the latter part of 2023 reaching a staggering $431,000, marking one of the most exorbitant periods to date. The dire situation is further exemplified when contrasted with the housing market's relative stability before the 2008 economic collapse. In 2007, the average home price stood at a reasonable $217,900, which plummeted to $197,100 in 2008 amidst the crisis. What we're experiencing now is akin to a silent depression, with 2023 already positioning itself as a troubling time for Americans. The cost of living continues to rise, with groceries, gas prices, and nearly every commodity becoming increasingly unaffordable. Meanwhile, our current leadership has failed to enact measures to bolster domestic production. As we navigate these turbulent waters, it is imperative that we remain vigilant and proactive in safeguarding our financial interests and securing our nation's economic stability. Let us know your thoughts below in the comments. The current economic downturn shows no signs of abating. Banks are closing, and the ability for average Americans to make ends meet is increasingly challenging. Comparing prices and salaries from the 1930s to today paints a bleak picture. Back then, a car cost $600 on average, while the average salary was $1,300. Fast forward to today, where a new car averages $48,000 and the average salary sits at $56,000. It's evident that our economy is struggling. Unfortunately, for the average American, this is just the beginning. Even official news sources are acknowledging the impending recession in 2024. This presents several challenges for us as we're already grappling with unprecedented economic issues. If 2024 brings even more turmoil, our economy may reach a tipping point from which there's no return. While the central bank plans to slash interest rates by a significant margin to mitigate the crisis, it's likely only a temporary fix for the impending catastrophe. Despite the third quarter seeing the highest GDP growth rate in 2 years at 4.9%, it's not enough to stave off the rising unemployment rate, currently at a worrying 3.7%. With talks of further economic restrictions looming, this figure is expected to climb. The historical precedent for such massive government spending dates back to the pandemic era. Instead of allowing the economy to naturally recover post-vaccine distribution, the decision was made to keep government expenditures high, further exacerbated by the Federal Reserve's continued printing of new money. This has devalued our currency, leading to soaring prices of essential goods like eggs, milk, food, and gas. Efforts to curb these alarming developments, such as increasing interest rates, have only led to government spending remaining at elevated levels. This level of monetary supply depletion has only been witnessed once in the past 110 years, during the Great Depression of the 1930s. Such revelations understandably raise concerns among American patriots for the months ahead. The outlook for the beginning of 2024 appears bleaker than in 2023 and 2022, which were already among the worst economic years since the Great Depression. The bottom 80% of earners have significantly less savings than before the pandemic, underscoring the severity of the current situation. This is undoubtedly one of the most critical junctures America has faced in recent memory. But what measures can be taken to steer America away from these economic challenges and forthcoming struggles in the months ahead? Presently, individual Americans and homeowners may find their ability to enact significant changes in the economy limited. While individuals can prepare for the looming economic downturn, as we'll delve into shortly, the collective actions needed to avert an extended collapse require systemic changes. At the heart of America's current economic state lies the issue of federal interference in the market. Despite attempts by the Federal Reserve to forestall the current economic collapse through various measures, their efforts have proven ineffective. As America grows increasingly economically unstable, the Federal Reserve and the current administration persist in their reluctance to curtail spending and regulations that contributed to this predicament. With these years marking the worst economic period since the Great Depression, this failure becomes increasingly apparent with each passing day. Stock prices plummet, banks shutter, and monetary control becomes increasingly centralized. Artificially manipulated interest rates touted by the Fed fail to deliver the promised benefits and may exacerbate market turmoil and imbalance. As this crisis unfolds, readiness for the economic crash is equally vital for American homeowners and individuals at large. One of the most critical aspects of preparing for such a crash is awareness, which you've already achieved by acknowledging the looming threat. Moving forward, it's imperative to stock up on supplies, fortify your household, and safeguard your family for the impending economic struggle. Additionally, transferring assets into more stable forms becomes paramount. The U.S. dollar's instability, exacerbated by the Federal Reserve's injection of depreciating currency into the economy, underscores the importance of diversifying into more resilient assets. In addition to stable food supplies, toiletry essentials should also be stockpiled. History, particularly the Great Depression, teaches us that these are among the first items to vanish in times of crisis, yet they are indispensable. The Conference Board's recent survey revealed a concerning sentiment among executives, with over 1,200 listing a recession as their top apprehension. Alarmingly, only 37% of U.S. chief executives feel adequately prepared for the looming economic downturn. This should prompt reflection for any concerned American regarding the accessibility of essential supplies in the coming months. As many executives brace to shutter their companies and hoard resources, it's imperative to grasp the gravity of this new development. The Conference Board's optimism index, currently at 91%, starkly contrasts with the 50-year average of 98, marking the 24th consecutive month below this benchmark. If you're feeling less than optimistic about the year ahead, you're not alone. Fortunately, many Americans are recognizing the urgency of the impending crisis and taking proactive measures to mitigate its impact. While it's unlikely that this crisis can be entirely averted, the upcoming year may indeed be the most challenging yet. The current administration's incompetence in steering the nation's economic trajectory is increasingly evident. While the Federal Reserve is anticipated to adjust interest rates next year, it may be too little, too late for many Americans. The Fed's indication that rates are unlikely to return to zero in the foreseeable future signals a prolonged journey ahead. Presently, interest rates are at their highest level in 23 years, a trend expected to persist in the coming months. The time to prepare is now, before the U.S. economy deteriorates further. With inflation on the rise and interest rates at their highest in decades, coupled with numerous statistics indicating that America is in a more dire situation than even during the Great Depression, the prospect of 2024 being one of the worst years in American history looms large. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave us a like below this video.